Welcome back, Lion family, to Live with the Lions. I'm Meg Rojas, and this is episode 6 of our YouTube series. Today, we are joined with assistant coach Greg Rosnick, and I'm very excited about this one. And Greg, just to keep things moving along, I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
I'm originally from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, hopped around a few different places in the Northeast, and now I'm of Union, New Jersey. I live in New Jersey, something I never thought I would say, but here we are. Union, New Jersey. I have a beautiful wife, Allison, 2 little boys, Calvin and Timothy, and a dog, Zeus. And we are living the most stereotypical suburban life of all time. 2 kids, a dog, a picket fence in the back that needs to be replaced immediately. And just loving the end days here of this pandemic. First time I've ever had a commute in my life. Never had to commute anywhere. It was always like a big must have for me. I needed to be very close to where I worked, preferably walking distance. So obviously the old setup, we lived on campus. I mean, we lived with other professors and their families, which was so cool. I think on our floor, there were 8 apartments and only 2 American families.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So there were some Asian families, there was an Italian family, a British family, a family from Ethiopia, and one Brazilian. So I think we had every continent. Literally every type of food is right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely made for college students.
So you can really give the Columbia experience, even though you're a full-blown adult.
A grown bald human can just yeah, we lived on campus. It was wild. It was wild. But it was also great just because, like we said before, like my kids got to be at, I guess, some of this Friday night games they couldn't go to because of bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
But they were at every game, shoot around, pregame meals. It was great to take the dog there and like throw the ball around and let him run around campus. But it's just such a good environment to be in too. You just like feel energized when you're on college campuses, and when you can bring your family there, it's always such like a nice thing to share with them.
You're gonna read so much on these commutes?
Oh, I'm almost done my first book, like 2 weeks in.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you do something cool that I think you still do, but maybe not. You read.
I'll lie.
You have every player recommend a book, and then you read it throughout the year.
Yeah. So it's all of the first years.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
So all of the first years, I have them give me a book I've never read that they love, and a movie that I've never seen that they love. Been some really good ones over there. Been some really weird ones too that I won't air out here in public. Oh, one that I really enjoyed that a current player gave us was actually Sienna's, which was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. So Mary, who's from Valencia, she gave me I forget her book, but she went to a British school. So she gave me like a pretty straightforward American British movie and book.
But do your kids watch TV now that they're slightly older? I feel like I haven't seen them in.
Yeah, we tried to be the hero parents for a while, where it was like no screen time, no
now
phones.
They have iPads.
Now they don't. They're nonverbal. They just they text
now they
us.
Don't even speak 2 languages. They just speak iPad.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that app?
Yeah, I think I'm at 678 days straight.
Wow.
So my children used to go to a bilingual daycare. Bilingual is a little bit of a stretch. I would say it's like 98% Spanish and then they taught them colors and days of the week in English. I would say that's about it. But I was nervous about this, and I also wanted to be more worldly. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to teach myself Spanish. Doing some research, Duolingo popped up. It was free, which I support, obviously. So I started doing Duolingo every day, and they do this genius tactic where they keep track of your streak. If you finish a lesson every day, they tell you how many days in a row you've done it. So now they're hardwired into my brain. I have to get my streak finished every day. Have to build the streak. Well, cue my international flight from LAX to Sydney, Australia, and I realize I'm going to lose a day. So I forget what the timing is of everything, right? But you leave, let's make up a date, March 1st from LAX. And when you arrive in Sydney, it's March 3rd. March 2nd,
Right.
just gone. It's gone because it takes so long to get there and they're so far ahead. You've traveled ahead in the future. Well, not ahead in the future, but you've traveled ahead in time like 38 hours. So I was such a psycho about this. I stayed up for the first, I think it was like 5 hours of the flight, watching bad rom-coms and playing crosswords. And then I paid for the Wi-Fi, or maybe it was free Wi-Fi on an international flight.
I
Maybe
hope
we
you
can get
paid for it for a
I
free
think
app. I hope you paid for the Wi-Fi for a free app so you could learn Spanish for free.
No. But so here's what happened. So I did something to get the Wi-Fi, and then when my phone thought, because we hadn't landed in Australia yet, my phone
Right.
didn't know that we were in a different time zone and all that. When my phone thought it was like 12:01 a.m. West Coast time, I quickly did my Duolingo lesson. It registered for that day, and then I popped melatonin and was asleep 20 minutes.
Do you do it every day at
See
the
how
same
long
time?
ago. I used to. I would drop my kids off, get on the subway, do my Duolingo. So now that I'm a suburban dad and my commute to the city varies, I haven't quite figured out like when I do it, which is a little nerve-wracking. Just like remembering when I need to do my Duolingo. Every day when they come home from daycare, we play, and then they watch an episode of Dora, try to keep their Spanish fresh. So Dora's also good for the youngest one. So Tim's only 1.5, so Dora is his speed. Whereas Calvin, who's 2.5, he definitely prefers the movies that we'll watch on Friday on the weekend nights. So we'll go Friday. We usually don't get a whole movie in because Tim can't last for a whole movie. But then we'll do Saturday and Sunday movie nights. So Disney Plus is a big thing in the household right now. Love Frozen. Cal loves Lion King, which he calls Hakuna Matata. We haven't broken it to him yet that the real name of the movie is actually The Lion King.
Who was the player you thought he was imitating that one time? Markham's free throw, maybe? Or was that someone else?
Early on, because Cal would go to the gym before games all the time and like run around with the ball and like shoot with the girls, which he would love. And like most of the time, he would just have the ball here and just stare up at them while they shot. And Markham was always the first one out on game days to do her pregame warm up. And Markham is such a creature of habit. Like I can see it in my head. Like she does the same thing every time. She does like her little turn sideways jump shot. And Calvin was doing it at home on our Little Tykes net. He was like turning his body sideways and like
That's amazing. I remember
doing her
this.
shot. Yeah, I had honestly forgot about that until you told it. But now he hasn't seen a basketball game in person in over a year, so he's really into animals right now in the farms. You know, like this is what he does now. He's more interested in alligators and sheep, and definitely miss having the girls come over and
That was yeah.
babysit. I mean, I literally say this to almost every single recruit that we get serious with. I always say that, um, if you don't like kids, you will get knocked down our list because I need babysitters. Most of them find it funny. There are a few where it's like very clearly stressing them out that they would have to babysit children, which I always feel a little bad about bringing up to them.
With international recruiting, are you just learning as you go?
Megan, our head coach, has been good. She had done some international recruiting in the past, so she definitely steered me in the right direction with some of these things. It's such an easy sell. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
first of all, everyone's heard of the Ivy League because they
Mhm.
all watch movies.
Right.
Everyone has heard of New York City. Even kids who have never been to America, they want to go to New York City.
Yeah.
It's just it's so
Like
easy.
a
And then the
cultural
biggest
thing.
thing is, yeah, like just like it's so easy to find your people here. The thing I always tell them is like, as long as you can live in a city. Some people don't like cities. They need open space. They need yards and, you know, rolling hills and all that good stuff. As long as you can live in a city, you can find your place in New York.
Yeah.
The culture is so accepting of people from all over the world, not to mention wherever you're from, there's almost guaranteed to be a restaurant that serves the
Mhm.
food from your home country that just like your mom and dad make at home with people that speak your language. So it's a pretty easy sell. And then I think from a basketball perspective, the way that Coach G wants to play, it fits really well with the way that a lot of international basketball is taught, with just kids playing all over the floor, making quick decisions. They all play with a 24-second shot clock, which is way better than some of our high schools that
Someone
never play
from
with a shot
New
clock.
Jersey who never had a shot clock. Yeah.
Yeah, where coaches make you run an offense for 4 minutes before you get a layup.
Right.
So I just think there's a lot of good things. So
And I mean, campus is huge. It's underrated, but you can go in the middle and not hear like a single car. So even though it seems like we're in Times Square to some international people or anyone, you're just not. You're like in a campus, fully on grass. It's very different than just being plopped in the middle of a random city.
totally, totally. I think people, they just associate New York City with Times Square and
Mhm.
Penn Station and Madison Square Garden, Empire State Building, and that's why it's so important to get kids here, which is why the pandemic has been hard,
Yeah.
because it's so easy when you get kids here to show them that they can just chill. Like, you can never leave campus. Just
Yeah.
go to Riverside Park, go to Central Park, sit in the middle of the quad, sit on Low Beach. Like, you'll never see a car or hear a subway
Right.
train in your life. Or if you want to go down and be in the crazy part of New York, the part that never sleeps and there's always
Yeah.
lights on, and that's a 10-minute subway ride away.
What is your personal attempt to take away from this time off with basketball and like still being involved and getting better as a coach and growing your knowledge and all that?
Two things. One is just more mindful of, all right, these are a lot of good things, but you can't do every good thing. Like, you have to invariably chop stuff off and just um, try to find what works best for not only your head coach's overall vision, but like, who are the players in front of you. You want to make them better players, but you also want to be realistic about like meeting them halfway. Like, where's their skill set at? Where do you want to take them? But the next thing I've been trying to do more of is like, not look for good plays or like look for good drills, but try to come up with more of them on my own,
Hmm.
you know? Because I think that's one of the things when you're not, like, we're not playing.
Right.
So all of the interesting ideas that you naturally will come up with during the season, like, oh, you know how we should guard this ball screen is do this, or we should try this because this person can't go left, or whatever you're doing to prepare for certain teams. So I've been trying to activate the creative side of my brain because I'm not a good singer. Shocking, I know. I'm not a good musician of any sort. I'm not a painter.
We obviously have changed on and off the court in
Yeah.
many ways, but is there a moment when you felt like, wow, we're like turning the corner?
So last year we started 0-2.
Mhm.
I was not sleeping for the second year in a row because I had a newborn child. And I remember like literally having a breakdown, like
Yeah.
no sleep. We stink. I stink. The players I coach stink. The players I recruited stink. And I remember Allison was like, "You need to chill." My wife was like, "You need to chill. Like,
Yeah.
you realize if you win the next game, you'll think everything's fine, which it won't be. And just like everything is not terrible right now." So I remember being in a particular vulnerable state before we played Fordham, who's very good, has very good players, has a very good history of winning conference championships, regular season, like they're very good. And we played really, really well and we won deservedly so. Like I thought we outplayed them for most of the game. And I remember I went to Haverford College and the women's coach there, Bobby Morgan, is a pretty good friend of mine. Really an amazing coach. They have an amazingly successful program. But when she took Haverford's program over, like they were bad. They were really bad. And it took them a few years to get things going. And she said, she texted Megan and I in a group chat. And she said, "I just want to let you know that there are certain wins that let you know that everything you're doing is headed in the right direction. And I hope you," and she said, "When I had those wins early on here at Haverford, I couldn't see it. It took someone else telling me that that I was doing the right thing. So I'm sure you can't see it right now, but I'm letting you know that I just watched that game and everything that you guys are doing is headed in the right direction." So I think that is what I would say. Like when you're in it, your team always stinks. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. We got to be better at this. We got this team coming up. This player can do this. We don't have anyone that can guard that. It's like that's all you're thinking about constantly. So I think it's sometimes really good to have someone outside who can see the bigger picture sometimes
Yeah.
tell you that what you're doing is going well.
Wow, I didn't know she texted you guys that.
Yeah, Bobby.
Shout out.
What a lady. So if you've made it this far in the episode, I would like you to tweet me a highlight video of a random NBA point guard from the year 2000 to 2010. I have my favorites, but I won't judge you if you send me the wrong one. But please tweet me NBA point guard that has to have played between the years 2000 to 2010.
Amazing.
If you do that,